From the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the News 8 Daily 8.
Now, the latest news.
Kylie Conway has the latest news. The top headlines. News you can use.
Please stand by.
Sponsored by LCS Heating and Cooling. Now, here's Wish TV's Kylie Conway.
Hi, this is Kylie Conway, and this is the News 8 Daily 8 for Friday, February 26th. Another chilly start. It is winter still, but once again, we're going to rebound nicely with sunshine and enjoy above average temperatures with highs in the upper 40s. For the weekend, we're really going to warm up. There will be some spotty showers, plenty of dry time, though, highs in the upper 50s.
This is the wrong plan at the wrong time for all the wrong reasons.
COVID-19 pandemic is a once-in-a-century tragedy. It requires a once-in-a-century congressional response.
Today, there will be a big vote in the House. Lawmakers are expected to approve an initial version of the $1.9 trillion COVID relief package. So this is the first major legislative act for President Biden. His push for increasing the federal minimum wage is no longer included. One person is responsible for striking it from the legislation, the Senate parliamentarian, Elizabeth McDonough. She holds the position tasked with being the chamber's nonpartisan arbiter of the rules. Democrats have been eager to find out if minimum wage increase would survive the relief package. On Thursday, McDonough ruled it must be removed. Senate Democrats plan to use a process known as budget reconciliation, which allows them to quickly advance high-priority fiscal legislation while also keeping the budget in check. Reconciliation bills are not subject to filibusters, so it provides Democrats the only way around Senate rules and to pass things by only a simple majority, which in this case would only require a party-line vote with all Democrats on board. But those same Senate rules prohibit provisions with only an incidental impact on the federal budget because they are chiefly driven by other policy purposes. McDonough said the minimum wage provision didn't pass that test. That's according to aides who described her decision to CNN. Now, News 8's Nina Criscuolo spoke to Kevin Charles Murray, general counsel and legal deputy for the Marion County Sheriff, who was previously the Senate parliamentarian in Indiana, about the role.
If you're a good parliamentarian, then nobody knows who you are because it means you're doing your job and you're doing it very quietly and very effectively, and that's the way it should be.
McDonough's ruling does likely make it easier for Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer to get his members in line behind the COVID-19 relief bill, since the rise in the minimum wage had been a key sticking point for a couple Senate Democrats. There are no viable options to use the procedures in the Senate to keep the wage hike in the bill. McDonough has been Senate parliamentarian since 2012. She is the first woman to serve in that role since it was created in the 1930s. And today, an FDA panel meets to discuss the Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine. If members recommend it to the FDA, the agency could grant emergency use approval today or tomorrow. From there, CDC advisors meet Sunday to have their own discussion on the one-dose shot and who should get it. Distribution starts when the CDC's director gives the green light. The federal government is expecting 4 million available doses on the first day. And President Biden says the country is well ahead of his goal of 100 million doses in his administration's first 100 days. You'll see and hear more messages encouraging you to get the shot. The Ad Council and the COVID Collaborative are launching a vaccine education campaign.
You might be asking yourself, should I get it? And if I do, will I be able to go about life without putting my family at risk? You've got questions, and that's normal.
The catchphrase of the campaign is, "It's up to you." It's aimed at making people feel ready to get the shot once they become eligible. And the city of Indianapolis is recruiting COVID ambassadors. It's a new program to encourage people to get the shot. The goal is 80% vaccination. Organizers hope you'll sign up and communicate with others in your life to dispel myths and challenge stigmas. Ambassadors will get regular vaccine updates to share with family, friends, and neighbors. The city will also send you graphics to post on social media. We have all the sign-up information for you on wishtv.com. The Marion County Public Health Department is considering bringing high school students back to classrooms full-time.
We are closely looking at the school systems for our high schools to see if we can bring them back totally. I hope to make that decision by the end of the week so that those schools that have been hybrid, can they come back in full capacity?
The director is reviewing data before making such a decision. Olympian Allie Raceman is calling out Indianapolis-based USA Gymnastics for failing to keep athletes safe. Raceman took to Twitter in the hours after former Olympic coach John Geddert took his own life. The same day, he was set to face a slew of criminal charges in connection to the Larry Nassar scandal. Raceman starts a series of tweets saying, "I frequently had to travel without my parents under the supervision of USA Gymnastics." The responsible adults included John Geddert, Marvin Sharp, Steve Penny, and Larry Nassar. Raceman notes that those named have since faced charges ranging from destroying evidence to sexual assault. The gold medalist then calls out USAG, of course, based here in Indianapolis, saying, "For an organization that has claimed for the past 15 plus years that athlete safety is the number one priority, it's impossible to imagine a greater failure." Geddert coached the 2012 U.S. Olympic women's gymnastics team. He also ran an elite gym in Michigan. Yesterday, prosecutors announced 24 felony charges against him, including human trafficking and sex crimes. Hours later, they found him dead. USA Gymnastics has not commented on the charges against Geddert or Raceman's criticism. Tiger Woods is in a different hospital this morning. Officials say he transferred from Harbor UCLA to Cedars-Sinai to heal from injuries he suffered in the week's SUV crash. Doctors operated on Woods immediately after Tuesday's crash, inserting pins, screws, and a rod to stabilize severe leg injuries. Investigators say Woods crossed a median, missed oncoming traffic, and flipped several times as it went off the road. Police are still investigating the crash, but they describe it as a pure accident and say Woods is not likely to face any charges. And this morning, restaurant and bar owners are getting ready for the return of more customers. Owners we spoke to say they want to prove to Marion County officials that they can handle the looser restrictions. Leaders announced new rules yesterday ahead of the Big Ten and NCAA tournaments. Starting on Monday, bars can open at 50% capacity. That's up from 25%. They can also stay open later. Restaurants can now seat up to 75%.
We've been planning ahead for this. This is a kind of our contingency plan. So even though it hadn't happened until today, we were still kind of eyeing towards these kind of restrictions being lifted.
Bars and restaurants will still have to stay socially distant, so that means not everybody has the room to expand capacity, though.
Being socially distanced means that 50% occupancy is still the same as 75% because we can't add any more seats because they still have to be socially distanced.
Another pressing issue for many of the bars and restaurants, getting staff hired and trained before the big crowds return.
Searching for a romantic summer getaway? Escape with Rich Girl Summer, the new Audible original from Lily Chu. The exquisitely talented Philippa Sue, returning to narrate her 5th Lily Chu title. This time, Philippa is joined by her real-life husband, Stephen Pasquale. Set in Toronto's wealthy cottage country, aka the Hamptons of Canada, Rich Girl Summer follows the story of Valerie, a down-on-her-luck event planner posing as a socialite's long-lost daughter, while piecing together the secrets surrounding a mysterious family and falling deeper and deeper in love with the impossibly hard-to-read and infuriatingly handsome family assistant, Nico. Caught between pretending to belong and unexpectedly finding where she truly fits in, Valerie learns her summer is about to get far more complicated than she ever planned. She's in over her head and head over heels. Listen to Rich Girl Summer now on Audible. Go to audible.com/richgirlsummer.
Workers are busy getting Lucas Oil Stadium ready for the games. 2 courts are set to arrive for installation in a matter of days. The separate playing surfaces are to allow time to clean in between games. A curtain will separate the courts at the football field's 50-yard line. There will also be 2 separate concourses throughout Lucas Oil. The stadium can seat more than 70,000 fans, but the NCAA is capping attendance at 25%. And today, 2 Bloomfield women will be officially charged in connection to the U.S. Capitol insurrection. Donna Bissey and Anna Morgan Lloyd will be in federal court today. According to court documents, they're charged with knowingly entering or remaining in a restricted building or grounds without lawful authority and violent entry and disorderly conduct on Capitol grounds.
We know that members of the militia groups that were present on January 6th have stated their desires that they want to blow up the Capitol and kill as many members as possible with a direct nexus to the State of the Union, which we know that date has not been identified.
That is the word of warning from the acting U.S. Capitol Police Chief this morning. Chief Yogananda Pittman took questions from a House committee yesterday. She says her department will keep its enhanced level of security due to the threat around the State of the Union, and lawmakers pressed Pittman on readiness for what turned into the insurrection of the Capitol building last month. She denied the notion that law enforcement failed to take warnings of violence seriously. She says there was no way to anticipate hundreds of rioters breaching the Capitol. Security officials have blamed lack of communication and intelligence. And the military is giving some details about the first overseas airstrike authorized by President Biden. It happened in Syria yesterday. The Pentagon says the strikes destroyed a number of facilities used by militants that get support from Iran. The Pentagon also says the strikes were retaliation for a rocket attack in northern Iraq earlier this month that killed a civilian contractor and wounded a U.S. service member. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin says he recommended the strike to the president.
We're confident in the target that we went after. We know what we hit.
One U.S. official describes the target as a site militias use to smuggle weapons. Today is the first day of CPAC, the Conservative Political Action Conference. CPAC panels will focus on issues like abortion, energy, big tech, and election security. Indiana Congressman Jim Banks is set to lead a discussion with House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy Saturday afternoon. The convention wraps up Sunday with a closing address from former President Trump. And today, President Biden travels to Texas to check on recovery from last week's winter storm and power crisis. This is his first official visit following a natural disaster. More than 7 million Texans are still facing water disruptions, and about 11,000 still do not have electricity. The president will also make a stop at a COVID-19 vaccination center after the weather delayed delivery of about 6 million doses. A local woman is explaining how some kindness turned her into a victim. Police are trying to find two people accused of stealing thousands from an 82-year-old. Happened last weekend at the Meijer store in Greenwood. Investigators say one of them distracted the woman by asking for help while the other stole money from her purse. Police say the two charged more than $7,000 to her credit card.
Yeah, that you're kind of looking sideways. I think I won't go back to the same grocery store for a while because I have a bad feeling about it.
Greenwood police say more people are committing this type of crime. If you know anything about this crime, investigators are asking you to call Greenwood Police or Crime Stoppers. A new apartment complex by the state fairgrounds is designed to do more than just give people a place to live. The apartments come with free financial literacy classes. Circle City Property Management and Development and the Indianapolis Neighborhood Housing Partnership call this project a game changer. It's low-income housing at 38th and Broadway. The current buildings have to go, and the new property will fit the neighborhood style with 40 new units. The images don't have a lot of detail that we've seen because the final look will come from the partnership between the property management, Historic Watson Park, and the city. Everyone who moves in will be offered a financial literacy class inside the shared community center there in the complex. Joe White started writing the curriculum a few years ago because of his own experience and passion for helping people reach financial independence.
And what I saw there was just tragic. What I saw was that there were thousands of adults in our city and in cities across the state that felt hopeless. They felt like there's a world of opportunity and there were people out there who were accessing jobs and training and home ownership and, every other part of the American dream that we believe is accessible to everyone. But these folks just didn't feel like they have access to it or had access to it. So we wrapped services and support around those folks.
White says that access is key, so people in the complex will have quick access to the Monon Trail, Indigo Red Line, grocery stores, schools, and parks. They are, after all, just a few blocks away from the Monon at 38th Street, and the partnership plans to break ground on Broadway Park this spring. Hasbro announced it is dropping Mr. and Mrs. from the Potato Head brand. The toys will now just be Potato Head. The company says the change is to be more inclusive. It also announced a new playset this fall without the Mr. and Mrs. designations to let kids create their own potato families. In a tweet, Hasbro did clarify the actual characters are not going anywhere. They'll still be sold in stores. The Mr. and Mrs. will just be displayed less prominently at the bottom of the box instead of the top. Finally, to business headlines, mortgage rates hit a 6-month high, threatening the U.S. housing boom. The average for a 30-year fixed loan was 2.97%, up from 2.81% last week, and the highest since August. That's according to Freddie Mac. A rapid jump in borrowing costs has threatened the rally. Costco is boosting its minimum hourly wage to $16 starting next week. The $1 an hour wage increase now exceeds the pay that competitors Target, Walmart, and other big box retailers offer their employees. Half of Costco's 180,000 employees in the U.S. are paid at the top of the company's hourly pay scale in excess of $25 an hour, and most of those employees receive regular twice-yearly bonuses of up to $4,000 a pop. Best Buy said Thursday that it laid off 5,000 workers this month and is planning to close more stores this year as more consumers buy electronics online. In recent years, Zillow has begun actually buying, fixing up, and selling homes itself through a new division called Zillow Offers. For certain homes, Zillow's Zestimate, the online estimate of the home's value, will now represent an initial cash offer from the company to buy the property. That could mean an even quicker timeline for homeowners looking to close a sale without going through the hassle of a formal listing. A new study by IBM shows voluntary job changes and skills development are still top of mind in today's labor market, as employees may be seeking career changes due to disruptions caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. Of the 28% of surveyed employees who plan to switch employers in 2021, the need for a more flexible work schedule or location and increased benefits and support for their well-being were cited as top reasons why. This has been your News 8 Daily 8 for Wish TV. I'm Kylie Conway, online at wishtv.com, and follow us on Facebook when you search Wish TV. Have a great weekend, everybody.
The News 8 Daily 8 is sponsored by LCS Heating and Cooling.
Be sure to like and subscribe to this podcast.
The News 8 Daily 8 with Kylie Conway. And be sure to discover even more great podcasts now at allindianapodcastnetwork.com.